helps you.
Recorded live.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to Freedom Fighters for America Radio. We have with us tonight back again Mr. Tom Heneghan and Stu Webb, Intel Hour. Welcome, guys.
Well, good evening. I want to wish good evening to everybody listening to this around the world. Good evening, Stu. How are you tonight?
Good. And you, Tom?
Well, we're doing pretty good. Of course, we're living in a very difficult time right now in the United States of America. And it's been going on for years and years, and now it's reached a level where there really is little return to normalcy unless some very serious, direct action is taken to put a stop to what is going on. I quickly want to give people an update on the financial situation. The Chinese are not buying our treasuries. No one is buying our treasuries. And what's happening right now are the Federal Reserve and these offshore entities and these banks, which are basically become casinos, are issuing letters of credit based on alleged funds that are parked in these accounts offshore. Now, they're not sure that the funds are there anymore. What happens within 48 hours after these bonds are purchased by what we call straw buyers, the Federal Reserve then turns around, buys the bonds back, and issues new money. Now, Stu, that's a Ponzi scheme, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Now, you ask yourself, how long is this going to continue? Remember, folks, these banks that have been torpedoed by these derivatives going back to the late 90s and clearly escalating through the Bush fraud period, are broke. There's still quadrillions, I use that word now, of derivatives tied to these banking institutions in the United States. Obama and Geithner haven't done anything about it. All they've done is bail out these banks with more money, backdoor money, money laundering, etc. They're not able to loan money. All they're able to do is trade every day to enrich themselves while they park these derivatives offshore or on a different set of books. Now, that's criminal fraud, folks. And Obama, who is a Mr. Change Agent, Barry Soetoro, as they call him, is a stooge of the highest order. The derivatives that Bush fraud piled up have been quadrupled by Obama. Because you got to remember, when they get this standard letter of credit, all the Federal Reserve is doing that is creating a new offshore derivative. So what we have right now is we probably have 5 or 6 set of books tied to the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. Federal Reserve. And this thing is operating on a 24-hour basis, all designed to keep short-term interest rates as close to zero as possible. Not to help the average person get a loan, buy a car, finance a home. It's all based on banks exchanging money with each other on a daily basis in order to trade both sides of different stock and commodity markets at once. Now, I'll tell you, it's a carousel. I don't know where this thing is going, but I can tell you where it's going. So in my opinion, we're going to have another collapse, aren't we?
Yep. A couple months from now or sooner. Yeah, money, Tom.
Yes, and when I get this second collapse, obviously the powers to be, the satanic New World Order, as I call it, is going to try to impose some kind of emergency martial law. And I think they've already set the predicate for that with the H1N1 flu virus, which they're about to unleash on this country within days. So you're going to see by the end of this month, forced flu vaccines in the United States. Now, what that's designed to do is designed to tell you that you got to take this flu vaccine to remain alive. Remember, this flu virus is a cross between bird flu and pig flu and swine flu. It's a military weapon. It was unleashed and allowed to basically escape from laboratories in Austria and Czechoslovakia. So what we have here, folks, is a pretense, or what I believe is an attempt to attack the American people. The American people know too much now. They're on the Internet. They listen to shows like this. And the American media, of course, is a corporate Gestapo, Joseph Goebbels talk box with no credibility whatsoever. That media is directly controlled by the NSA. And anyone that works for that media is compromised, extortion-friendly, and is there to put out the word that they want you to hear. That puts us all in a hell of a box, doesn't it, Stu?
It puts us in more of a hell of a box because we've got a criminal government, we've got a criminal media, because we have, I think it's wise to explain to listeners that the Bush-Clinton crime syndicate, these Knights Templars, own the media. And if you look at all the purchase of the media over the past 20 years, they basically started buying it up and took total control of it in about 1992.
Well, that's true. And if you look back at the late 80s and early 90s, when the Bush-Clinton, I guess I can use the word Ponzi scheme began, and that, of course, goes back to Mena, Arkansas, the Iran-Contra operation, which ran through Arkansas on behalf of Daddy Bush and Clinton. They turned around and stole a bunch of money that was actually national security funds, a lot of it leftover funds from the Russian ruble operation, and basically put it in their pocket and laundered it to these corporations and these banks and these networks, who in return for these monies and these funds basically promoted a Bush-Clinton dynasty, as I call it, pro-Bush-Clinton crime family syndicate coverage. And we see it to this day. I mean, look at this sociopath lesbian, Hillary bitch, as I call her, the dysfunctional U.S. Secretary of State, goes off to, where was it, Congo, is asked a question by a journalist and reacts like a spiteful 14-year-old schoolgirl in regards to her husband. I'm the Secretary of State. He isn't. And I mean, have you ever seen such a fat-looking bull dyke in your life, Stu?
I've seen a few of them, but let's mention the fact that Hillary, lesbian, Rodenhurst Clinton. She changed her name, folks, from Rodenhurst to Rodham, and she is a lesbian.
Well, we've been pointing that out many times. It makes her blackmailable. But obviously, she and the Bush family still have control of the media. They're using this phony health care operation, which is unconstitutional, folks. You cannot force states to mandate states. That's against the 10th Amendment. Of course, the Constitution means very little to people. Look at Bush fraud. He tapped your phone. He monitored your emails. He had family members spy against family members, all on behalf of fighting terrorism. Of course, he never caught the terrorist, Tim Osman, the CIA patsy, a.k.a. Osama bin Laden. But then again, I mean, Obama's on the same, and now he wants people to spy on people, too. I mean, they love this idea of having control and the ability to basically shred the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, make it all irrelevant. But again, back to Hillary, I mean, she had nothing to do with the release of the girls from North Korea. She was basically taken off the case because it was she and her own State Department that tipped off the North Korean authorities that these girls were on the Chinese border. They were investigating the counterfeiting, illegal trading platform that was going on in North Korea, the use of Swedish prostitutes back in the 1990s by Clinton to placate the North Korean leader. And that's where they're grabbed. They happen to be employees of former Vice President, as I always will call him, duly elected, non-inaugurated President Albert Gore, because clearly that presented a problem for Hillary, since she hates Al Gore's guts, because Al Gore wouldn't let her run for president right away. The problem of getting these girls released was a delicate measure. I can now divulge to everyone, Richard Holbrooke was trying to work on it with Bill Clinton and Al Gore, and at one point Hillary got into a shouting match with him and said, "I'm in charge of this. I'm the Secretary of State," and began a vulgar blast at Holbrooke and actually tried to throw a punch at him. Holbrooke then at that point defended himself and pushed the dysfunctional lesbian to the ground, in which she broke her elbow, and that's been documented. So we can, clear that up. And eventually, Gore went over to North Korea, basically read North Korea the Riot Act,